In my last video, I spoke about truth. Truth coming from one source, the truth that comes from within you, and how to discern truth in a world of chaos and deception. So today I want to go a little bit deeper on what I learned as I went through this process of truth. Because truth could be difficult to discern for yourself if your base foundation is not aligned with truth. And what do I mean by that? I mean, every single decision that you make in your life will be based on something. It could be based on equity, it could be based on trust, it could be based on truth, it could be based on your experiences, your intuition, your knowledge. Or they can be based on what you've heard, how you feel, your compromises in life that kind of force you to stick to decisions, whether or not, or beliefs, whether or not they are true. So my conversation today is about compromise. At what point in our life have we compromised the truth for our own comfort, for our appearance, for survival, for needing to fit in? And how does compromise begin? And I know this, so I'm not speaking because I'm not an uncompromised person. I am speaking because I have learned so many aspects of my life in which I did compromise the truth. I compromised truth for belief. I compromised truth for money. I compromised truth for fear of not fitting in. And so that is what I want to talk about, because the closer I was in seeking truth, the more I realized how compromised I was in the decisions I was making in my life. And when I started to align my truth uncompromisingly, okay, I lost everything I feared I was going to lose. I had to go look deeper into the reasons why I did what I did. So compromise. Compromise begins at a young age. But compromise is how I break the world into two parts. You're either an uncompromised individual who's learned to seek truth above all and will not settle for anything less than a truth that aligns with your reality and your understanding, or you're compromised. We can look at politicians. You could be red, blue. I heard today, if you're a liberal, your brain works different than a Republican, blah, blah. Cool. But regardless, if you're an individual who is compromising the truth for any other belief system, then you're probably moving from a different place. So, God, truth, individual alignment provides an uncompromising individual. An individual who might have thought participating in society and just being good and staying quiet and doing what you need to do and don't bother any room and don't speak up, that was good enough. But when I chose alignment with the truth and I had to speak up for the truth, I found myself misaligned with everybody else I was surrounded by. So I had a choice I needed to make in that moment. Do I continue to push down my truth and compromise my understanding, my alignment with God in order to satisfy people? Or do I stand by my truth? Compromise. It all comes down to compromise. When your belief systems do not match the truth of who God is, you compromise. Anytime you make a decision that is not truth, you are compromising. And the problem with compromise is that the more you compromise to fit into society, the further away you push yourself from your intuition, from your understanding, from truth, and from an alignment with the Almighty. Compromise becomes a lifestyle. I know I should do better, but I need to go get a job. I know that there is justice in this world, but those people deserve what they're getting. I know that God is a God of peace, but I will justify evil and war. I know there is truth, but I am choosing either a belief, a religion, a political side. And every time those constructs come before the truth, you separate yourself from your natural instinct to be aligned with truth. Because in reality, we have been told many times that we are evil people from the beginning. Especially if you come from a Christian background like myself, you will know that we are sinners, already separated, already distant, already lost, already compromised. And therefore, why would we stand with truth if our belief system already told us you're compromised? So I had to drop my belief system because the truth told me otherwise. Because when I was in alignment with God and the truth, I realized that my intuition was actually aligned with the truth and with God. And that every time I spoke up for the truth, yes, I was pushed out of societal norms. I've had people call me, "You okay? You're deviating from our group perspective of life. You're throwing us off. What are you doing?" I'm aligning with the truth. I'm not aligning to make other people comfortable who are already compromised. I don't know why they're compromised. Truth meets truth and recognizes truth. Truth is absolute. And deeper than that, when you compromise, you're compromising your soul. You're compromising your peace. You're compromising your intuition. What does that create? It creates a lack of peace. It creates fear because you're no longer aligned. You see, the moment you compromise, you separate yourself from the intuition that has been given to you, the alignment, the guidance, the truth. And when you choose to compromise, you separate yourself from that foundation that allows you to live with a belief, truth, justice, equity, kindness, love, goodness. Most fears come from fear of what? Fear of failure, failure of disappointing, failure of not fitting in, fear of not fitting in. Fear. Fear comes from a lack of alignment. Most of all, fear comes from a compromise. When you're compromised and you have lost the connection to the truth, then you have every reason to fear, because your fears are essentially true because you compromised. You don't fear because if you did with something right, you would be in peace. You fear because you know you compromised. And every decision after that pushes you further and further and further away from the truth. And when you do that, what are you going to grasp? You're going to grasp the desire for acceptance, the need to be like others, the need to fall into societal categories that make you feel better because at least you feel that you are at the same level as every other compromised individual. Does it make you feel good to be in a room and not speak truth when truth must be spoken? Or are you so far compromised that you yourself don't know where the truth is, and when you hear the truth in the room, it stings and it bothers you? And the person who speaks the truth must be removed. A person who speaks truth destabilizes a group of individuals who are collectively together, compromised, seeking appearance, seeking approval, seeking not to bother, not to confuse, not to be the problem. Now, let me tell you, I've been the problem all my life. Not because I'm great, not because I'm better than everybody else. Definitely not. But I have always had a desire to seek the truth. I have compromised, and I knew how bad that compromise was. Why am I saying it now? And why is it so important? Because now more than ever, in a world of deception, in an environment of constant friction, chaos, separation, and division, where people are seeking alignment, I ask, are you seeking alignment out of compromise? Or are you seeking alignment with the truth? Too many people are holding on to their beliefs, to the boxes that somebody else put them in. To the Christians who've compromised their faith for a belief that is so far from the truth that is heartbreaking. It is no longer okay to stay silent. It is no longer okay to believe that your belief is right, correct, your opinion, your emotions, or your egos are good enough to sustain the behavior. It is not okay. Compromise operates in every aspect of your life, whether that's your personal life, the people who you choose to be around, you choose to be who you are and speak your truth, regardless of how they respond. Or are you constantly trying to modify who you are to reflect back to them who they think you are, which is a never-ending game, a guessing game? Then you move from your personal, you bring it right into your job or your business. You compromise your truth in business because somebody else tells you it doesn't fit the business model. You compromise your truth in a board meeting because you don't want to ruin your reputation rather than doing what is right. You don't want to be the business owner to tell the truth in a networking event because you would sound uncool. There's a psychology behind this. I'm not going to go into the psychology, but it's definitely a studied pattern. But oftentimes, even the studied patterns Don't bring it down to the basic compromised or uncompromised individual, because that is individual action, individual thought. I don't bother you because I speak my truth. I can't possibly. What bothers you is whether you're compromised or uncompromised. Compromise rolls into health, what we like to call mental health today, is a compromise of your internal soul, your alignment to truth. The further away we are from the truth, the more the anxiety and the fear and the depression kicks in. Why? We have nothing to stand on. Then you're just swimming in the deep sea. There's nothing there to grasp because everybody else is swimming in the deep sea. Everyone else is showing perception. They want you to perceive them as successful, as great, as happy, as good. And the moment they shut that door, all of that was performance. The truth does not require performance. Therefore, I don't require an anxiety. Don't have anxiety because I say what I think and I believe based on the truth. And when I am veering away from the truth, immediately that anxiety, that questioning, that fear, that doubt, those insecurities kick in. And I'm not immune to that. I'm learning it in every aspect of my life. It's the same with a job. Are you willing to compromise your integrity for a job? I didn't. I lost a job once because I wanted to hold my team to higher integrity levels, because the team I was managing had low standards. The gossip, the way they spoke about each other, the environment they created, it was not positive. It did not feel good. In the moment that I set the standard for truth, for respect, and for kindness, I was fired. At the time, my manager said, "I know you're right." And I said, "Are you willing to stay when you know what happened? Are you willing to compromise your integrity?" And he did. That's a choice. But that choice will undeniably bring a level of anxiety and fear. And it should. That's not personal to this individual. It's a reality and a pattern that happens over and over and over again. I simply don't feel that money, job, or title is valuable enough for me to compromise my integrity. The anxiety of starting a business and fitting in to the marketing, to the structure, to the standard, to everything everybody else does. Well, what if I don't want to? What if the truth tells me that many people are operating from a place of fear, anxiety, stress, and I simply choose not to? It might take me longer, but I get there. But I get there with no anxiety, with no fear, but with an alignment to who I am and to the truth that allows me not to second guess myself. So when more information comes in, I don't have to fear it. I can analyze it. Does it align with the truth or does it not? It makes it easier to not emotionally have to make a decision. But where does the truth come from? It's not public opinion. It's not religious beliefs. It's not political siding, and none of that. The truth comes from God. The truth comes from being aligned with the Creator, however you want to call the source of life, the Creator, the One, the essence of life. The one who gives peace, love, kindness, wealth, and abundance. But not from desire, from alignment. From alignment to what? From alignment to the truth. We can argue on a superficial level about societal issues all day, every day. We can scroll through social media and be emotionally triggered by everything because it's studied exactly to trigger the emotions in any person who decides to scroll. It don't matter who you are. You will be triggered. Why? Because that trigger increases fear, increases anxiety, increases chaos, increases division. So let me ask you, do any of those align with the truth? If they don't, they're not your truth. If they don't align, you need to set it aside and find the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that information is being given to us to create this divisive, chaotic, fear-driven individuals. Now, based on the current situation that we're in, is there reason to be afraid? There's a concern. There's a real concern. But I'm not concerned about external factors. I'm concerned by individuals because our society is created by individuals. We as a society, we as individuals have created the society that is coming to us. We choose a compromise. We chose not to do our civic duty. We chose to leave that problem to somebody else and then complain that they're not governing us correctly. You're right. Our civic duty required us to hold people accountable. And the only way you keep people accountable is if you come with clean hands and are able to speak truth and base it on truth. I like to talk about equity jurisprudence here. Equity is based on truth, but you must come with clean hands. Why? Because equity doesn't make a decision based on how you feel and what your preferred outcome is. It's a weighing of what is right and what is truth. Too many compromised individuals still speaking from ego and fear. Yeah. We have a duty to know the truth. We have a duty to uphold the truth. And we have a duty to do that, regardless of how society will respond to us. Because as long as society operates from a place of fear, anxiety, chaos, from a place of compromise, where you shut an eye to one thing that is wrong, but you scream and cry for another injustice in your eyes. It doesn't work that way. Justice is justice across the board. Either it is right or it is wrong. It's not a matter of opinion, nor a matter of religion, nor a matter of status, nor a matter of politics. None of it matters. And if it can help anybody, the reason why I'm no longer triggered when I scroll, and I don't scroll very much, is because I analyze what I see. Is what is being said based on truth, or is this an emotional trigger? And what I realize is most people are not speaking truth, they're triggering emotions. Why? Because it gives you more views. Because that's what gets people to like your content, to respond to your content. We live in a virtual world that feeds off of emotional triggers. But the truth is a different story. We live in a compromised world. We're surrounded by individuals who are compromising. You don't have to sit there and call out compromised individuals. If you are choosing to live based on truth, equity, justice, love, kindness, then when you move through life, you will recognize those that align with your truth or those who are triggered by your truth. And all you can do is say, okay, you're obviously compromised. It's not an offense. I simply can't be surrounded by compromise. Not only can I not, most of the time I don't have a problem with individuals. Individuals have a problem with me. Groups have a problem with me. Society more has a problem with me than I do with them. Because I'm just moving through life. And I'm just hoping everybody's moving in truth. But the moment I speak truth and it triggers frustration in other people, well, then it's not a place for me. And typically I'm pushed out. But I have learned how to walk out. Because some people benefit from having somebody who speaks truth there. And it's okay. We're not here to be social butterflies. We're not here to always fit into social context. We're here to find the truth. And once you know the truth, you'll have the duty to follow the truth. So there's one question. Are you compromised? Or are you operating from a place of truth, justice, equity, kindness, love? Do you weigh those anytime you interact to determine what you're going to take in and what you're going to let go? Do you hear that anxiety and sit down long enough to understand whether that anxiety comes from a place of compromise? And bigger than that, we need to see a bigger picture. And if we're stuck in these emotional triggers, we're not seeing the bigger picture. More to come in the next video. I'll just throw it out a little bit, but I was reading our Constitution again, the United States of America. In the grievances that our forefathers had against King George III, surprisingly, are no different than the grievances that we are feeling today as a people. And if that's the case, we're in a serious place in history that cannot be defined by emotional triggers, but by responsible individuals who hold to truth. More on that next time. But I do hope that from this message, you will gather that. Judge yourself based on whether you compromise your truth or you choose to be uncompromising in knowing what is true. To the next. Goodbye.